Hi, everybody. I'm Lenora Walker. I'm a psychologist, and this is a roundtable number 4 being presented by the American Psychological Association's Division 56. This is the Division on Trauma, and we are part of the interdisciplinary task force on COVID-19, which is designed to help mental health professionals and people all over the world deal with the psychological aspects of COVID-19 virus. And our subgroup is one that's dealing with the impact that the virus has had on people who are involved in some way with interpersonal violence. We know that interpersonal violence is on the rise. We have more murders in many of the cities, all cities across the United States, unlike some rumors that said only some political, crosses all political lines. We know that domestic violence is on the rise. We don't know a lot about child abuse. We do know that when we see cases of child abuse, they're very severely hurt. And we think that's probably because when children are not in school, there are people who, not a lot of eyes on the children, and many of them are at home, and tempers rise, anxieties rise, people get depressed and don't do all the things that they might normally do. And so part of what we designed to bring in these roundtables are different activities, different things that people can do to train yourselves, to teach your clients if you're therapists, or patients if you're doctors, and also so that you can, if you're not in professions but still need it yourself, or even if you are in the professions and need it yourself, that you can be using some of these techniques. So we're from all over the world. I'm going to introduce you in a moment to the people who I can see on the call, but there are a lot of people who are not on video who are also hopping on. Our group, you met Giselle, Dr. Giselle Gaviria. She's here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where I am not in Egypt, even though her background tells us that's where she's traveled. And I, as I said, I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Dr. Marilyn Safir is from Haifa, Israel, and Rita Rivera is also from Miami, Florida. Dr. Dawn Hughes is from New York City. Dr. Michaela Mendelson is from Boston, Massachusetts. Brittany Geddes is, right now you're from Pennsylvania, right? I think we're Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I'm from Philly.
From Philly, okay. And I don't know, Jason Park Salzman, you're new to us, but welcome. And maybe afterwards we'll have a chance you can introduce yourself as well. Dr. Patricia Villavicencio Carrillo is from Madrid, Spain, and she's going to be our presenter today. And Dr. Lori Gill, who is from Niagara, Canada. So you can see we're spanning countries as well as cities in the United States. So with that, what we typically do on these roundtables is we have a presenter, one or two presenters, we'll see. We may have one of our presenters coming on, another one, we're not sure. But we're going to turn it over to Dr. Villavicencio because she is here and she's going to start. And then afterwards, we're all going to discuss what she has presented. So I'm going to ask everybody to mute themselves except for Patricia. And I will start off and then we'll take it from there. So the floor is all yours, or the squares, I guess, are all yours.
Okay, thank you so much for introducing me, Lenora. I love you. You know, I really deeply love you. And you're my mentor. And thanks to the other day I shared with you on WhatsApp that I happened to be a volunteer in a shelter in Erie, Pennsylvania. And at that time, I'm originally from Peru. So at that time, my English was scarcely. I don't know. I don't remember that well. I spoke German fluently, but English is my third language. So, and I did volunteer in a shelter that happened to let me in as a foreign student. I wasn't not even living in Erie, but I think so much that shelter was a hospitality house, and they showed me a video of your cycle of abuse and a battered women syndrome. And at that time, I was a psychology student. And after a few years later, like 8, 10, I don't remember, I asked one of my teachers if I could do research on battered women, because at that time and still now, very poor people access to shelters. So me being a foreign Peruvian was like, I lived in a third world country, and for me was strange being in the States and being surrounded by very poor Americans. Most of them were Americans, malnutrition kids. And so, well, that was the start. And now I want to share I'm a trauma expert after many years of getting training, and I do trauma work and an EMDR specialist, clinician. And one day, one of my friends in Germany asked me if we could do something, a project, because she wanted to give some financial aid to an NGO. And me as a researcher and a clinician, and she as a teacher, German teacher. She's German and a musician, and I love music. And one thing that I think I'm the person I am, and as a PhD and postdoc and plus, is because my parents put me to study in a Swiss school in Lima, and they the major subjects plus German, everything in German, was music and sports. And I was a hyperactive, non-attention girl at that time. So only because I had music in the program, I think every day we had music, and also sports. I'm the person I am right now, and I could study. So, and my friend and I, we started searching for writing a project for music. I did a lot of research on neuroscience and music, how music impacts in your brain and learning. And so I'm used to research. And then all of a sudden, we found this project in Uganda, in the orphanage. So me as a researcher, what can I do? I'm not, now I can say I'm a humanitarian person, but at that time I knew how to write a project, but scientific project. So we started writing, and then all of a sudden, one of my dearest friends in Argentina, Claudia Hasenbegovic, she's a lawyer and a domestic violence expert in Argentina, told me when I was visiting her that in Uganda there was a program that it's called Transitional Justice. And I'm not African, I wish I were African at that moment, and still when I go to Africa, I feel African. And so I applied for a scholarship, a grant, and they gave me the grant. Even though I'm not African, I'm not a transition, I was not a transition justice expert. Then I had the chance to visit the kids. And before going to Uganda, I asked EMDR Association in Spain if they could support me, because the African Refugee Law Project financed they gave me the grant, but not the ticket. And EMDR Spain said, when I said, listen, I'm going to Uganda, they said, oh, we're very interested in Uganda. I say, how come? I don't know. So listen, we want to support you. So to make the story short, I wrote a couple of projects that EMDR Spain supported me, and my hospital also supported me going to Uganda, giving me a leave, a humanitarian leave. So when I went there, what can a clinician do? That's one thing that us as clinicians, how could we transfer our knowledge to the community? And this is something that matters to us right now during COVID times, especially because the whole community, international community, has been affected. And especially violence has increased, as Lenora has told us. I've happened to talk to my friend in Uganda, and she's in charge of, she's the director of FAIRD, Foundation for Integrated Rural Development, and they take care of women abducted during the war that happened 20 years ago and still are suffering the consequences of the abductions by the Lord of Resistance Army. So after meeting Harriet, she said, please, we need people like you coming to Uganda and do some trauma work. But to be responsible and ethical, you cannot open the wounds of a person and then leave and say bye. And that's what we do in our office. We cannot just open and come on, goodbye and see you whenever. So I said, I cannot do trauma work because I will stay only a week or 10 days the maximum. So let's do what we have planned. Take music and sports that and create what we ask our patients to do when they have a depressed mood. Do things to cheer you up and shake off, right? And how can we do that in person? So we propose a project where we will bring sports and music and share our music and songs and games, our childhood games and theirs in Lira, in a very small community at that time. So these people, to have a big picture, it has been 20 years after the war, and they are still suffering the physical wounds of the trauma. They were sexual abuse as sexual war and violence, and they were used as carriers. They forced women to get pregnant of their kids and took those kids and make them to be soldiers. And it's one thing that still in the international agendas, it started during the war in Bosnia, that those kids that were born after sexual abuse, they don't have an identity, a citizenship identity. That's one thing. But they came to us, and I want to share the activities we made. So they're unnourished. They hardly eat once a day, and they hardly can work. And so Harriet told me, listen, we have to be careful because these people need, so we invited them to have lunch with us. We paid for the transport. And so they wore what they are wearing in these videos are the best dresses they have. And so if you see the first video, their faces, and so we made a game. Let me try to see if I can share we introduce ourselves using a ball. So let's play, introduce us with a small ball, and the one who caught the ball will introduce themselves. So we started doing this, and then explaining that we will be working, playing and dancing and singing and sharing songs. And we explain how we are going to make pictures, body pictures with the butterfly hug. After feeling joy and happiness with these activities, we told them that we'll check our body, do a body scan. Of course, they translated to the local language, and not even my friend understands their local language. There are different dialects between different communities, and so there was the chief or the leader of the community that translated into their language. And so we taught the butterfly hug, and we play a lot. So these people started slow, and then it was amazing. Let me try to share what I've been working on this, and so you can see a bit what I've prepared. Moment. Well, I'll try to do something else, and then I don't know. Let me see. One thing that I want you to do while I'm opening this file is each of you on the screen to think about your own games while you were kids. Okay? What kind of games you used to play with your friends in your neighborhood? Try to picture those games in your mind and the feelings you had. When you have it, if somebody wants to share them, please. Anybody wants to share one of the games that you play as being a kid?
You can go right ahead and unmute yourselves. Yes, you can. That's exactly. I was going to say you can go ahead. Whoever's on there, just unmute yourself and speak up.
We used to play games where two people would clap hands with each other. So one of them we used to sing. I don't know if anybody. I sang it with my kids too. Was Playmate, come out and play with me, and bring your dollies 3. Climb up my apple tree, slide down my rainbow into my cellar door, and we'll be jolly friends forever, more. I see other people did it too. Any others?
About ring around the rosy, pocket full of posy, ashes, ashes, all fall down. There were more words that I don't remember them.
I'm thinking about games like tag and hide and seek.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Giselle?
You know, it's interesting because a lot of my time during the summers and the holidays, I spent it in Colombia. So we had things that we called like shusha, or where it was like freeze tag or finding different colors running around. We also had a couple of Spanish songs that we would sing. But right now I was like thinking of how we would sing them. But there was one about palo palito, palo palito, palo palito. See, and it was a whole game towards it. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of games. And I was like thinking, I'm like, what were the songs that we used to sing?
Lori, what about you in Canada?
Oh, I was trying to remember. I think a lot of the stuff that's been mentioned, like hide and seek, ring around the rosy, we did like patty cake. So, you know, a lot of the stuff that's been shared already. And I was trying to think of something more kind of specific to my family that we did. But yeah, a lot of like with my cousins, we often just played hide and seek and tag and yeah, make believe, right? With dolls or whatever. So yeah, lots of singing.
What about Rita?
I actually remember the Palo Palito song that Giselle was singing. We sang a lot of Spanish songs, mostly.
Great. And
any of our participants who are not video, we can't see them, but jump in, unmute yourself. I don't know if you can unmute yourself, but try to and jump in.
And I also think about like a little bit about musical chairs and just how you would get so into it. Just musical chairs, I feel like, is so universal.
Mm-hmm.
And Micaela, did you share any of your games?
So hide and seek and tag, those would be, if someone mentioned musical chairs. I remember at birthday parties, we used to play a game. It may have a different name here. I grew up in South Africa, called Pass the Parcel, which was basically like a little toy that was wrapped up in many different layers of newspaper, and it would go around, and every time the music stopped, you'd take off one layer of wrapping, then it would go around until the next person, you take off another, and the person who ended up with the final thing got the prize at the end of the game.
That's like hot potato, we called it, I think.
And then we have one of our viewers saying that they used to jump a lot of rope and throw small sand pockets. And then somebody just mentioned, that we used to call it a hot potato, I think. That was Lori as well.
I used to play Heads Up, 7 Up.
Ah, yes. 7 Up is definitely one. That almost reminds me even in the classroom. We used to play that Heads Up, 7 Up in the classroom.
Yes, I always played it in school.
That one, or Who Stole the Eraser, I feel like was another one too. I don't know if anybody got to play that one, but in New York, when I was growing up in New York, that's something that was vividly in my mind. Who stole the eraser? One of us would go.
Hopscotch or Potsy. Remember we used to draw on the chalk on the sidewalk, and then we would hop, throw something on a number, and then hop until you could pick it up. Mm-hmm. Jump rope, I was always the steady ender because I could never jump.
Okay, so as you see, when you share this, I smile. So when you share something happy, the other one smiles because connects to the play you've been through as a kid, right? And one thing that I'm so sorry, I cannot share my presentation, but I'll share it in Facebook. One thing that we need to realize is that when children are abused, or people, especially children, play is terrifying. So it's a way of diagnose, a way that we can diagnostic if a kid has been through abuse, and they play and replay what they've been through play. So I say that abuse infects, as COVID does, your playing abilities. So trauma infects the play. And so kids no longer can play as they should. That's one thing that we lose if we've been through abuse during childhood, or any stressful and traumatic experience. Should not be only abuse, but trauma as COVID, for example, their kids are not being able to play. And also adults in Western societies, and in a way, and around the world, they ask us not to play. We need to be responsible, right? It's a lot of work, and the time for us to play is lost. And that's how easily people get depressed. So when we are in front of somebody who is depressed, and we used to assess what they do in their daily life, depression cuts off any way of feeling rewarded, or one of the symptoms is that you don't feel as happy as you felt, and you don't enjoy things as much as you did in the past. That's one thing. But trauma does this. Even though trauma has taken away their lives in this community, what I always say is, I work in trauma because you see the lights through their recovery. So humans have the capacity, and we as experts are only the guides to show them how to recover. Fortunately, if they get through the right hands, right? But still, how to improve and shake off our depressed mood is trying to connect with experiences in the past, plus doing something active. And now when you share it, not only thought about it, I smile, and everyone in the screen were smiling and say, "Oh yes, rope and jump in," and so it's universal, right? So we did that, and let me say, what was our goal is bring music and sports. So we shared the music, and they sang their songs and danced their dance, and we took part of it. Because I film a lot, I could not take part of all the games they were through because I wanted to document. But let me see if I can share the video and give the possibility to. So I can say share, right? Where is the compartir pantalla is here. Esta anfitriona, quiero compartir la pantalla. Okay. Opening video. Patricia. Can you see my screen? No.
Is there a button in the left-hand corner that says share?
Okay, let me,
Push that, maybe.
okay, left, on the left.
Or the right-hand corner, rather, right-hand.
Wait. Here, on the right.
Mm.
Uh,
If once it's up,
compartir pantalla is that.
push share.
But it says that somebody, you know, Giselle, en castellano me pone, el anfitrión inhabilitó la función de compartir las pantallas de los participantes. You have to allow me. I don't know, it doesn't allow me to do it.
Giselle, maybe you need to make her a co-host.
Make her the co-host.
Yeah, I don't think she's a co-host.
You there already?
I can't hear you.
Yes, I did. We're all co-hosts, but I made Patricia the host completely.
Okay. Do you see my, wait. Let me try to do it again. Okay. Do you see it?
Yeah, there you go.
Started it. There you go.
Here we go.
Yay.
Okay. These are the kids. So my friend and guitar teacher, Rodrigo Martin, offered his vacation time to come to Jinja and teach them music, and that's our name, EMDR Uganda team. Let me, and these are, okay, wait a minute. Let me pass this. It's in Spanish. And here. These are Mupensi children who are much better than the ones in the northern part of Uganda right now. We got a grant for them and a foundation here in Spain. Very rich people are financing their studies and health care in Uganda. So now I'm teaching them what to do, the butterfly hug, right after having fun. And we did also drawing their experiences. Lots of activities. We took them to a water park and they loved it. And see, well, you teach the kids not to do it that fast, but it worked. So in EMDR, the flops for installing positive resources, you don't need to do it not even more than 6. So this, that voice is Eduardo, and Chavi, that little one, in May could hardly walk, and this is December. And Tabi was rescued in very unnourished. And in May, she always wanted me to hold her. And look, in December, she won the Olympics. So it's hope. That's happy. I love it. She's a champion. And now it's Lyra. People, they were abducted during the wartime, and still, you know, seeing the difference between the kids in Mupensi who are taken care of. They eat 3 times a day, and these people, and they make me wear this dress that a designer in Gulu made that beautiful dress for one day. And that's Harriet Adam.
When you listen to the testimonies, how they felt, some of them were speaking in the language of the same. We didn't know.
I'm sorry.
We could actually go back to our stages that we missed. So for me, that was a very touching statement. They felt young again. They felt life in them, despite the fact that they went through all these atrocities. Even those that had health challenges, they have health challenges. Some of them need surgery. Some of them just need to talk to a doctor. But they jumped. They jumped. Why? They thought this was a new approach, a new strategy that they hadn't done in a very, very long time. It was like stress relieving for them, and it brought a smile on each one of them that was there. Even the men were busy jumping. So
there are men that suffer sexual violence during war. There is a group of men that came out in Uganda saying what like happened to them. And there are many men around the world that are coming out and saying that they have suffered sexual violence during war. And then I say thank you in their language. And this is Gifty in Mupensi. And this is Stella, the coordinator at the orphanage. And we say thank you to MDR Spain. Vamos a alguna hora de la pantalla. Okay. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to share them. One thing is that there is a Harriet in our screen. Thank you for sharing, coming. Thank you, Harriet. I'm so honored. Harriet and all her family siblings went to the university, and most of them stay in the country to contribute to their community. And it's something that I really admire, because most of people that have their education, they leave the country, and you, Harriet, and your family, same.
Harriet, can Harriet say a few words?
Yes, please.
Where are you?
Yourself.
Where are you from, Harriet? Unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to meet all of you. And I'm from Uganda.
Are you in
my
Uganda
home
now?
Yes, I'm in Uganda now.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
exciting.
So I'm in the city right now in Kampala, but my home is in the north, northern Uganda. So I'm in the city now because Patricia told me about this program. I decided to stay around. so I can have very good internet connection with everyone. So I'm really happy to meet all of you in your various parts of the world. I come from a community that was affected by the war for over 20 years. Part of my family was also affected. But I'm happy to tell you that it's not been easy for us, but we've done all we can to support the women, the children who were sexually abused in the time of the conflict. And we have over 200 women that we support and over 200 children and girls. And in the post-conflict community now, most of our work is to support those that were sexually abused through their mental health healing. So it's part of the work that we do, and also help the women who are sexually abused through economic empowerment program to make sure they're able to sustain their homes, given the fact that they're not able to do hard labor. So they need some small monies to help them run their homes. And most of them are widows, they don't have husbands, they have children who are orphans. Most of these children came into place not because they wanted, but because of the atrocities that they went through. And with Patricia, we've been really helping them through mental health care and helping them support the children to take them to school. Those are some of the challenges they have. So we try to support them through economic empowerment so they're able to have some small money to send their children to school, because we believe that these children have a right to education. And the women and girls also who are sexually abused, most of them have challenges of having access to healthcare like surgeries. Some of them are still struggling with injuries that they incurred during the time of the sexual violence. So some of them still need surgery support, but these are things that are not easy to come out because surgery is very expensive. So for us as a community-based organization, we can only support them where we can. And reaching out, meeting a number of you who are in this area of IPVs, for me, makes me learn that there's a whole community out there that I didn't know about. And I'm happy to meet all of you and reach out to you and share with you our story, because it makes me stronger to know there is actually a bigger community that is going through this, but also is also handling this. It's very hard for someone like me in my small community to do all this. It's heavy work, I must say, and Patricia had a test of it. Even us as the community people, sometimes it's hard on us and we don't have people to take care of us, because we have to be strong for those that are going through all these mental challenges, physical, emotional challenges. So reaching out to this community and sharing today is a very big privilege for me, and I'm happy to meet all of you, wherever you are.
Well, we are very happy to meet you as well. How has COVID, the COVID virus, affected your community?
Well, the COVID virus has truly affected the community because like now the women are not able to engage in the economic activities they had started. All this has come to a standstill. And because of this, it has contributed to other challenges like domestic violence and intimate partner violence in the homes has actually increased. And we've also experienced a lot of sexual violence against children. And this is because the children are not in schools, they've been exposed to the challenges in the community. So it's become a bigger challenge now. And given the fact that we don't have as much funding to help us to reach out the entire community. So sexual violence in this time of COVID and violence against children has again increased. And then mental challenges is another issue for these communities, because they've been trying to pick themselves up, given the fact that what they experienced, they've been trying to move on, to try to heal. But now COVID-19 comes in and hits them again, bringing a number of challenges within the households. So this again has contributed again to a different point of harm, which we don't even know how to handle now, because it's becoming too much. We're handling the children, now the parents, the women. So issues of mental health, economic, and then violence within the homes and violence against children. So COVID-19, instead of, it has literally taken us back to the steps we had taken to improve the community. So that's what we're struggling with right now. Violence against children, but also the mental stability within the homes. Couples are fighting each other. Intimate partner violence has shot because of the struggles within the households as well. So
Well,
those are some of the challenges.
I don't know if it will make you feel better or worse, but what you are going through is happening every place across the world.
Yeah,
domestic
that's
violence,
very true.
At least 3 times more, according to the measures that they've taken.
Yes.
And I think it's much more than that. And the violence against children, sexual violence, physical violence, so that none of us have a lot of assistance. That's why we get together in these kinds of groups to support ourselves.
Exactly.
We're all dealing with unknown,
this kind of
thing on top of another, on top of another. So
yes. And I think this, for me, this platform is good because it builds a community of social support, which is not out there. So when I meet strong women who are helping each other, it's something that we can always appreciate and know that there's someone there to hold each other's hand. And these support groups are very important because they make us stronger. Even if we're going through something, it helps us to know, how do we take care of each other? How do you take care of yourself amidst the kind of work we do to help those that are also struggling? And I'm really happy to meet this group and be part of this group.
Well, it's lovely to meet you. One of the interesting things about roundtables is that you never know where they're going to go.
But one thing that I want to finish saying that although there are happening terrible things happen in the world, there are people like us that we are together and fight for women and children's rights. And during COVID times, we want to make this to everyone to know that domestic violence has increased, sexual abuse has increased, and we cannot stop make these things visible around the world, and we can do something about it.
Yes. And you are always welcome. Whenever we're around, please always feel free, Harriet, to join us. We would love to have
you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Love to have you.
Unfortunately, we're about the end of our time.
Thank you so much.
That's okay. I'll make sure next time I join in on time as well.
Next week, we're going to start again at promptly this time at 12 o'clock. Eastern time. New York time is 12 o'clock. That we can figure out from there. I want to thank everybody for hanging in with us today. Patricia, especially, you have brought us such gifts today that I want to thank you so much for everybody.
Thank you so much. I wish I could be everywhere.
Next week we'll have more
discussion. Each other. We need our support. That's what
yes.
Said. We
do need the support system.
I love you all.
Oh, and
I love you from Uganda.
Thank you so much, Lenora, for the initiative, for being such a great mentor and person, and for giving your knowledge to everyone. We follow you. We love you so much.
I want to thank you all for joining us. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram next week at 12 New York time, Eastern time. you can see us again, and we will be having a discussion about mindfulness.
And this has been recorded, so we'll see. We hope that the recording will come out. We'll have it for everybody.
Yeah, and it's usually posted on the Facebook page, so you could definitely watch it as many times as you want. A lot of our videos are getting either reshared, or a lot of people are viewing it. So we're going up there. So I
Yes,
just
Harriet, make sure you have the COVIDIPV group number on the Facebook page if you get onto the internet, when you have internet, because we post all the time.
And you can participate if you can't get onto Zoom, you can participate by messaging us on the Facebook.
On the Facebook. Okay.
You can watch the Facebook videos and message us, and then we can say hello, and obviously comment if you're commenting on it. So there's several ways. We're trying to make it broad for everyone.
Okay, I'll do that.
Want to thank you for
Thank you
joining
for
us.
your time and participation. Adiós.
Adiós.
Hasta la semana que viene.
Arrivederci.
Ciao.